We are recording and we're live. Can someone tell us whether our audience is here with us today for the Genealogy Death Match?
You have 107 people on there, so I guess, or 109 now. So yes, there's an audience.
Okay, and are we going to leave Jordan frozen there, or are we going to get rid of his camera? He looks like he's in pain. It's going to be a little distracting. Can our presenter Ellie, can you turn off Jordan, please? Or Hadassah, or anyone? It's just very, very tough. Sorry, we're having already technical difficulties. It does not bode well for the Genealogy Death Match, but we're going to start in just a minute. We got rid of Jordan. Okay, so I'm filling in for Jordan, who has not figured out that you're not supposed to use Firefox at the online IAJGS conferences, but hopefully next year he'll figure that out. Oh, now we have Vivian joining us, one of our last judges. That's excellent. And Vivian can maybe also turn off her screen. Hi, Vivian. We're going to, if you can figure it out, turn off your camera. We're about to start. Jordan is having technical difficulties, so I'm filling in with him. It's at the upper bar. It says settings on screen slides, and the second one is a camera after settings. She figured it out. Okay, everyone. Let's start off. Actually, these are the contestants right now for the Genealogy Death Match 2022. This is our third time doing this event, always on Zoom. So we'll see if we ever can do it live. It's a relatively new thing at the IAJGS. Welcome if you're in attendance right now, and we'll get started very soon. But I'm filling in now for Jordan Auslander, who's usually our MC and cracks a lot of jokes and makes this a lot of fun. That's not usually my MO, but I will give it a try. I'll try to be Jordan Auslander right now. And he is traditionally introducing everybody. I don't have everybody's bios in front of me, so I'm going to just do a light introduction. So our contestants you see before you are Steve and Jaron. Stephen, where are you coming from today? Where are you?
I was on mute. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And aren't you involved in the Pittsburgh JGS?
Yes, I am. I'm the president and re-founder of the JGS of Pittsburgh.
Excellent. Okay, that's enough. And then David Ellis, where are you coming from today?
I'm coming from Natick, Massachusetts. I'm with the Jewish Genealogical Society of Greater Boston.
Excellent. And you are two contestants in this year's Genealogy Death Match. Why don't you turn off your videos and let's see if we can see the coaches. You each have coaches. And that should be, there we are, Jacob Heisler and Robinn Magid. Hello, both of you. And you're the coaches. So who's coaching who? Jacob, where are you coming from? You're last year's contestant, and who are you coaching?
I am coaching Stephen, and I live in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Excellent, excellent. And Robinn, you're last year's winner. And who do you get to coach today?
I'm coaching David, and I'm coming to you on Chrome from Berkeley, California.
Excellent. Okay, are your contestants ready? You've coached them, and they're ready to go? Excellent, yep. Excellent. Okay, so turn yours off, and we'll introduce the judges. Ooh, here I am, large. Hi, everyone. Judges, can you turn on? That would be, yes. Sarina is on, Alex is on, and Vivian, if you can turn your camera back on. There you are. Look at that. Those are our three expert judges this year. Excellent. Vivian, I'm going to start with you. Where are you calling from? This is your first judging?
I am in here. I'm here in Sonoma County, California.
Excellent. And what's your big role in Jewish genealogy?
I am the director of the Jewish Gen Hungarian Research Division. We're divisions again, not SIGs, in case you didn't hear.
Excellent. Okay, so Vivian, a Hungarian expert here. How about Sarina next?
What sort of fun am I missing?
He's back.
He's here.
Jordan, a voice that sounds like Jordan.
The disembodied voice, yes.
Okay. So we're introducing the judges now. Sarina is introducing herself.
Okay. Well, what did I miss? So we're going to introduce judges. I can introduce the judges. Do we introduce Alex?
We have not done Sarina. They're introducing themselves since I don't have the bios, but let them introduce themselves.
Absolutely.
So I'm Sarina Roffe, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm president of the Sephardic Heritage Project. I'm a member of JGS New York, editor of Jarrett for JGS, and I am the Sephardic Research Chair for Jewish Gen.
Excellent. And an original, this is her third time judging the Genealogy Death Match. And last but not least, Alex Calzareth.
Yes, so this is my third time as well. I'm the research director for Germany, or Jursig, whatever it's called these days, on the board of Reclaim the Records and on the board of JGSLI.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so now the judges shut off. Everybody's seen your faces and introduced you. And is Jarrett Ross there?
Well, do you want me to do the intros, or
we'll keep introducing ourselves, and then I'm going to let you take over.
Okay, fair enough.
Just for consistency. So I'm Randy Schoenberg. I am one of the founders of the Genealogy Death Match. I also have founded the Jewish Genealogy Portal on Facebook. I am a Genie curator. I'm a board member of Jewish Gen and the head of the Austria-Czech Research Division on Jewish Gen, among other things. And I was a contestant the first year and the winner the first year against Jarrett over here. So we're the oldest contestants yet, and we're going to be the Kibbutzers. We're just going to make some comments occasionally. Whenever
Randy, speaking of which, I've been noticing a pattern. One starts out as a contestant, then goes to judge, and then goes to Kibbutzer.
To coach, contestant, coach, and kibitzer.
Contestant, coach, and then kibitzer. One shudders to think of what title you'll come up with next year.
Exactly. we keep involving more and more people. And Jarrett Ross, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I am Jarrett Ross, also known as the Genie Vlogger from my YouTube channel. I am the vice president of Triangle JGS out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm also one of the IAJGS board members, and I'm also one of the admins for the Sephardic Diaspora group on Facebook. And as Randy mentioned, one of the original contestants, although Randy took me out in that first match. But, the future may hold a rematch sometime.
Yes, when you get past 13 generations, let me know. Okay, yeah. so we're gonna.
I heard it was a split decision.
It was always a split decision. So we're gonna sign ourselves off. I think the contestants can come back on, and then Jordan, you should introduce yourself and take it from there. How about that?
Hi. Okay. We're gonna have the contestants introduce, or I'll introduce the contestants.
They've introduced themselves.
They've introduced themselves. We got Litvak versus Galicianer again, and the epic struggle. And do we introduce their coaches?
We did. We've introduced everybody. Do you need someone else to be the timer, or do you have that all set up?
Ron is usually the timer on that, but
he's not here.
Ron is not. Well, then I'm doing better than at least someone.
So I will be your timer, and you're now in charge. Go ahead and run the game. I don't know who's going first, but that's up to you.
Okay. No. I'll. Do we have the coin flip here, and you guys both come out of your corners swinging? So the way we do this. If anyone's, and history is past its prologue, as we know, but we sort of make this up as we go, and that's half the fun of it. So both our contestants are going to see who can get farther, document the furthest back, 10 generations, or 10 rounds, as it were. And our judges are going to be judging on purely subjectively, but we would think, methodology and all that. But, and after the fact, I believe these two contestants will be downloading their PDFs of their presentations. So fun awaits. So the first round, and because I am going to pick it, I'm going to have David go first. David, are you ready with your presentation and screen share?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
And so then wait, hang on a second.
Yeah. He has to screen share, I guess, to start.
I don't even do that because I also start the round when I go.
Got it.
And that starts the round. If you're ready to go.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Okay. Just want to talk a little bit about my background. I've been around for a while, and I was a software engineer, and the big thing about my success is collaboration with others.
Wait. Did we not introduce you?
This part was not part of the introduction.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I added it.
Okay, 3-minute round here, sir.
I really think it's 2 minutes.
The ancestral branch that I'll be tracing goes back 9 generations from me, and I'll go generation by generation. So let's start round 1.
Woohoo!
With my parents, I have several kinds of evidence that
David,
I'll
can
present.
you put it in presentation mode, please?
I'm sharing it. I don't know how to make it in presentation mode.
Remember, I
go to the
share your entire.
slideshow. Pick slideshow.
You're sharing again. You have to share your entire screen, not just the application.
Okay, then let's do that.
Yep.
The letter's going out to big marker.
You go to the same problem happens with Zoom.
Entire screen.
Yeah, when you go to
share.
share, right.
And now let's pull up the slideshow.
Perfect.
Okay. So here's evidence for generation 1. That's the kind of evidence I'll present. And the first is brand new this year, starting in April, the 1950 census, where I appear for the first time in any census at all. And there are 2 photographs, one from when I was pretty much an infant and one from a little later. On the next slide is an actual birth certificate for me, giving my parents, including my mom's maiden name, date of birth, time. And the last piece of evidence for generation 1 is my parents' wedding picture and ketubah, again, showing my mom's maiden name on the English side, and the Hebrew side will give her father's name. Her Hebrew name was Malka, daughter of Benjamin. So that's about it. Just note on the bottom line of the English, the rabbi who performed the wedding was my mom's uncle, Morris Goodblatt.
The round can end early by the contestant's choice. So if you finished your presentation for this,
yes, I have.
Okay, so then we'll tap out.
Okay, stop
sharing. Steve, are you ready?
Okay, we're going to do 2 minutes. And Jordan, are you timing 2 minutes?
I'm going to time it, yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
All right.
Am I good to go?
Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
as you can see, I'm the first generation, starting with me. I was born May 3rd, 1979. I'm single, so I'm not married. I'm not dead yet. It's just a flesh wound. My parents are Michael and Edna. Hobbies, because, this is a dating show, not a genealogy death match. Genealogy, cycling, superhero comic book related media. As you can see from my Spider-Man shirt, I'm the president of the JGS of Pittsburgh, and my research interests are Netherlands, Western Germany, Austro-Galicia Empire, non-Galicia Ukraine, Belarus, and the Jewish families of Pittsburgh. Here's my birth certificate. As you can see, I was born on May 3rd, 1979, too. Michael Louis Jaron. His middle name is spelled incorrectly. And Edna Esther Rothstein. They were both pretty young, and I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Here's the DNA of me to my comparison to me and my parents. As you can see, it's almost 50-50. I'm a genetic mutation. That's why my dad is not as strong as my mother. And here's the chromosome browser comparing me to my parents. And as you can see, it's a roughly 100% match. And that's it for that.
Okay, the participants should be polled now. We've opened the first poll. Who won round 1? I hope everybody can see it. I see only a couple votes, so I'm not sure if everybody is seeing the. Yes, now the votes are coming in.
There we go. I was muted.
And why do we get that? Why do we have that weird slide? There we go. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So audience should be polling, and the judges may or may not take this into consideration when rendering their decisions. But again, they will be judging the round. So I think we're ready to go to the second round. David, are you ready?
I'm ready to share.
Okay. So I will reset the clock, and you've got 2 minutes.
Okay, let's share my entire screen and go to generation 2 in here. These will be the parents of my mom, Ben and Ray. And the evidence I present is the United States Census and family photos and my grandparents' marriage record. So from the 1930 census, it shows my grandpa Benjamin, my grandma Ray, and my mom 5 years old at the time. And below that is a picture taken around a little after 1940, showing my grandparents. My mom's at the far right with her brother and sister. And here, this is the final slide for generation 2, is a wedding photograph of my grandparents, together with, from MyHeritage, the summary of their marriage record, which gives the names of the parents of both bride and groom. And my grandma Ray is listed as Rachel. And if I have a couple minutes, just a little story. My grandma's maiden name was Rotza, and she became a Rachel, while her older sister Rose was a Rachel, who became a Rose. And it was at the older sister's instigation that they swapped their English names after arriving. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over.
All right, that's pretty good. You were actually 30 seconds under.
Good.
All right, so, Steve, are you ready?
Yep, ready when you are.
Okay, let's reset the clock, and you are go.
All right, generation 2 is my mother, Edna Rothstein. And this is her birth certificate, a reprint of her birth certificate from New York City. She had to get a reprint to get her Austrian passport. And this is also the index from Ancestry, which shows her birth date and the district she was born in, Manhattan, in 1952. This is my parents, I should say, marriage certificate from Allegheny County. It doesn't look like other marriage certificates. It's actually the same version they use now. My brother has the same thing. This is their marriage announcement with, stating the parents of my parents and who was at the wedding and whatnot. And this is my parents' wedding picture. I tried to make it big enough so people can read and enjoy, because that's the second slide. My parents are still alive. I don't have death records for them. And my mom, since my mom was born in 52, she would not be on the 1950 census. So that's all I can say about that.
So does that conclude your generation 2?
Yes.
Okay. So everyone should be filling out their polls. We will go to generation 3 shortly. We are running now, again, under 2 minutes here. But this is, as we get further back, as we all know, and this is where it gets interesting. So all right. So everyone who is get your polls answered, and then we are going to start round 3. David, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Fire it up, sir.
Okay, from current slide. Just to note, from generation 2, my mom was born in 1924. She passed away before I could get her DNA. And my grandma Ray was born in 1905, died in 1946 before I was born. So we're going to go take a look at generation 3, parents of my grandma Ray. And they were Rabbi Abraham Goodblatt and his wife, Devorah Rivka Lichtenstein. And I have several kinds of evidence for them. So let's take a look. Here's my grandma's gravestone, giving her Hebrew name is Rotza, daughter, I'm going to translate from the Hebrew, daughter of the Rabbi Avraham Tzvi, gives the date of her death. Her married name was Ray Finkel. Her maiden name was Ray Goodblatt. And the next piece shows the census from Brooklyn from 1920. Abraham Goodblatt was the head of the household, his wife Rebecca, Dvorah Rivka, and their children, Rose, Morris, the rabbi who married my parents, my grandma Ray, who's listed here as a Rachel, and the next one is my great aunt Sally, listed here as Sadie. And this gives their birth dates. So we've got some family photographs here. I'm going to start on the right is my grandmother, Dvorah Rivka, with her 4 children. In the upper left is my great aunt Rose. Upper right is my great uncle Morris. Lower left is my grandmother Ray. And the
15-second warning. 15 seconds.
Okay. Picture here is my great grandparents with their son Rab Morris. And the piece of evidence here is the immigration manifest.
I'm sorry, that is the end of your round right there. So, yeah, that's why I give you a 15-second warning. So, folks, pace yourself. Judges, you will be, of course, deciding how well he presented his case. But regardless, we're at the end. We're at the end of round 3. No, we're at the beginning of round 3.
We're in the middle of round 3.
We're in the middle of round 3. Ignore that poll.
Yes, it's my turn.
Yeah, Steve, whoever's, get rid of that poll. All right, Steve, you are up. Remember, 2 minutes.
Yep. So as you can see here, these are pictures of my grandmother, Judith Pollock, with her on the left is her sister, with her sisters Edith and Ada, and on the right with my mother and her older sister and her husband Harry. First is her birth announcement. I can't get her birth record because it's still within the 100 years privacy law from Tilburg, Netherlands. However, this is her birth announcement. I don't know why she was called Dochter, which means daughter in Dutch, but this is the ancestry abstract of her birth record, which lists her parents as Alfred Pollock and Serafina Reinette van Cleef, which you'll see those names again later. And here's her marriage record to my grandfather, Harry Rothstein. You can see her parents are listed as Alfred Pollock and Serafina van Cleef. She was born in September of 1923, and she was married in 1946, like the day after her birthday, which is kind of interesting. And I'm actually not going the Galiciana route, for those of you wondering. I'm going the Dutch route. She was in the 1950 census because she immigrated right after the Netherlands was invaded by the Nazis with her family and her uncle's family. And there's a lot more to that story I could tell at a later date. And highlighted, you can see Harry Rothstein and Judith and Naomi, my mother's older sister, who was born in 1948. And last but not least, I have her immigration record.
15 seconds to go.
No problem. I have her immigration record with my great-grandparents and her 2 sisters. I apologize for its quality, but I also have her declaration of intent to immigrate. So you can see whatever.
End of the round. Okay. So now, where is that poll? There's that poll. Fill out that poll. We're going to take a short break here, and I'd like to talk to the coaches and get a little word from them on how things are going while the judges tally up their first 3 rounds and the audience weighs in. Also, folks, if you just to word out to the contestants, you're getting a lot of love in the comment section. So put that under your hat there. All right. So, Robinn, I have you as our 2021 contestant and 2001 Princess of Lublin.
Yes, and I'm sharing the screen with Jacob, who was my very worthy opponent and a comrade in this game last time. I think both of these contestants this year, I think Jacob would agree with me, have seem very well prepared. They probably prepared by building gyms in their backyard like they do on American Ninja Warrior. But it's clear that we have two worthy opponents, and that they've worked very hard on their presentation so far.
Okay, well, without giving away any trade secrets or competitive advantage, in one word, what did you tell your contestant to focus on? Can you?
Well, I told him to speak quickly.
Speak quickly. Okay, that's 2 words, but that's good enough. Okay, Jacob, talk to us. How did you approach your exciting task?
Well, I approached it by actually saying the opposite, like in the sense of speaking slowly and clearly, because as my parents, I set to remind me both for this and for much any speaking engagement since I was a kid, enunciate the words and all that. And I'd just like to add, I agree with Robin, they generally preparing a lot. One thing I especially like is that they both included the 1950 census in this, because this is the first year that we were able to do it. And a part of me is now thinking, assuming this lasts for another goes on 10 years later, I hope the contestants that year incorporate the 1960 census as well.
Well, real quick question here. The 1950 census, of course, new for all of us this year. We've got a millennial versus a boomer now. How do you think that's going to play out?
Well, speaking as the token millennial of these things, I think it adds interesting perspectives, because it's as I grew up with just using technology for these sort of things, whereas say Robinn's generation is more about going to these archives and pouring through microfilm page after page.
When I was your age, we had a hand crank microfilm. We didn't have any sound. You kid.
Yeah, but I will say there's also the advantage of we are more familiar with this technology, although I will say I also didn't have the advantage of knowing more about the people actually from the old country who could better tell me these stories. And actually part of the reason I did genealogy in the first place was precisely to better understand these ancestors I never got a chance to meet myself.
So you have some benefits and then some losses there. All right. Well, thank you both, coaches. We're going to check in with you later. I want to do a quick check-in with our 3 judges. Are you available? There we have Alex. We've got Sarina Roffe. I've got that note there. Vivian, this is your first time judging.
Why won't my camera go? There it is. Okay.
That's all right. So, exciting so far. What do you think? I don't want you to give away, which way you're leaning or whatever, because we have a few more rounds to go. But first impressions. Start Sarina.
Well, I got to say that in round 1, David had, I think, great information. I love the fact that he had that ketubah. I thought Steve was a little bit, standard stuff.
Well, actually, I don't want you to comment on specifics. I just want your general impression here of the whole process. You are judging between.
I think this process is terrific. I love the fact that they're throwing in stuff from all different places. Newspapers, from documents to photos, all kinds of interesting stuff. I think it's playing out great.
Well, thank you, Sarina. There'll be plenty more of that. Alex, you've done this before. How are you feeling about today's competition?
I think it's going well so far. I see some original sources, some sources that are just indexes, which is not the final step you really need to go to on both sides, but a lot of good evidence, and I'm looking forward to the next rounds.
Well, the later rounds is where it gets really unconventional, if history is any precedent. Vivian, your first time out. How you feeling today?
I'm enjoying this, and I'm thinking maybe I should have agreed to be a contestant after all. I was interested in seeing the kind of documentation that was provided. Particularly, I'm glad that we've got a jump across the pond by Steve. because I think it's that documentation from Europe that's going to be and from other parts of the world is going to be the hardest to find. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the two contestants managed to locate documentation, the extent to which they relied on primary sources.
Vivian, I'm afraid to cut you off because of time. We want to get into the next round there. But yes, it's going to get interesting as we get further back into Europe and we see how these contestants have approached that. All right. Thank you, judges. And we appreciate your service.
I think it's time for the Kibbutzers to put in their 2 cents.
That's exactly where I was going, where you guys can heckle on methodology and whatever you want us.
Hey, Jarrett, when you shake your family tree, do a lot of nuts fall out?
Oh, so many. In fact, one of those nuts that falls out is Steve Jaron. So one of the reasons, I might not be biased in any way towards the Dutch line. I might not, just because we're cousins through our Dutch Jewish genealogy, our Dutch Jewish ancestry. But I do have to say, I love the fact that Steve used DNA in that first round, and I'm really hoping that DNA comes back into the picture.
Okay, well, we'll see. Going Dutch was a losing strategy for you, so we'll see if it works out for Steve second try. So anyway. Back to you, Jordan.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys. We appreciate your snarkolepsy. Okay, so we're going to go into round 4 now. And to mix it up, I'm going to have Steve go first for this set. Steve, are you ready with your presentation?
Yep.
Yes, you are. Okay, so now, my timer has. Where is my timer? There we are. Okay, go.
All right, so for this generation, we're at my great-grandmother, Sarina von Kleef. This is her birth record from the Rotterdam Archives. They provide extractions of all their records, so you don't have to squint and turn your head sideways like you do with Galiciana records, which is a pain in my butt. I also have provided her birth announcement from her parents, Jacob von Kleef and Elizabeth von Kleef Loeb. She was born on January 8th, 1888, as you can see. Next is her marriage record to my great-grandfather. I said that wrong. She's my to my great-grandfather, Alfred Polak. Again, the Rotterdam Archive provides a extract of the record, so you don't have to squint your eyes. They were married in 1918, and her parents were Albertine Levy, or his parents were Albertine Levy and Baron Polak, and her parents were Jacob von Kleef and Elizabeth Loeb. And then we have her death record. She died in Israel after my great-grandfather passed away in the Netherlands. They moved back after the war to the Netherlands to get back property. Again, that's a long story. And this is her death report record that I was able to get from my mother's cousins, as well as the Billion Graves screenshot of her gravestone, because I can't get to Israel.
30 seconds warning. 30 seconds.
Yep, got it. And then, And then we have also the MyHeritage extract of that gravestone down here in the bottom, which also shows her being married to Alfred Polak, Jacob von Kleef, or her father's Jacob von Kleef, and her mother's Elizabeth Loeb von Kleef, because that's the way the Dutch use married women's surnames. And that is it for me. Oh, and the family register.
Sorry, that is the end of the round. I'm going to give you folks 30-second warnings because I don't think 15 seconds is sufficient for you guys to wrap up. So just I will check in you. That means that you have 30 seconds to wrap this up. Okay. David, where are you? Are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's start round 4.
Okay. I didn't quite finish Generation 3. This is in Russian, an 1898 marriage record for my great-grandparents. And the one thing that pertains to Generation 4 is at the bottom. you can see the name in bold, Dvora Rivka, the bride's maiden name, Liechtenstein, and it gives her parents' names also in Russian, Nusin and Shana Dobra. So moving ahead, here is Dvora Rivka's gravestone on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, and it says in the Hebrew, the Rabbanit, wife of Rabbi Dvora Rivka Gutblatt, daughter of Yecheskel Natan, from the stock of Kuzmir. We'll explain that later. Here's a photograph of my great-great-grandfather, Chaskel Nusin, with his grandson, my great-uncle Morris. And here is the birth record for my great-grandmother, Dvora Rivka, giving the names of her parents. Her father was listed as Nusin Liechtenstein. His name is across the top. The two neck circles are his wife, Shana Dobra Vyshinsky, who was listed in this thing as officially unmarried. They didn't register their marriage with the civil authorities. Baby's name is Dvora Rivka. It was filed in 1883. Even though she was almost 4 years old, she was brought in as a child. And that's the end of generation 4.
30 seconds or you're finished then, right?
Yep, I finally finished.
Oh, okay. I actually, all right, so now we should have all right, I can't call it a poll anymore because Stan Diamond apparently has copyrighted that term. So we're going to call it a survey. Fill out your surveys as to audience participation. I'm going to need a judgment call, or perhaps our hecklers might want to weigh in about David using information from a previous generation in his round. Now, while he did come in under time, you judges are going to have to decide whether that you're going to include that or penalize him. And we need a decision on that. Can we get that from the judges?
The record included the parents, so it's fine as long as it includes the parent.
Okay, so if someone doesn't complete what they need to say in the previous round and they can fit it in the next round, they don't get penalized.
Why is someone seeing my slides?
I don't know. Maybe you've fallen asleep on the keyboard. All right, so generation.
Something's not right.
We're going to start. Steve, you ready to do generation 5?
Okay, you're okay. Good. For some reason, you're seeing something weird. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you know, it's the night of bad technical, and I apologize for my end of that, and it would keep things interesting.
Cool, we're good. As long as you can see Jacob Von Cleef, Generation 5, we're good.
Okay, we're gonna start your round. Go.
So this is my second great grandfather, Jacob Von Cleef. And this is his birth record from the Rotterdam Archive. He was born to Serafina de Jong and Isaac Von Cleef. Again, his birth record is a little hard to read because, you know, Dutch script. But there's the extract and also her Jacob's birth announcement. And I'm hearing an echo. So here's his marriage record to Elizabeth Loeb. As you can see, you know, marriage records a little longer similar to German records, so they're a little longer and harder to read. You can see their signatures, you can see their announcement and the extract. I've made it bigger so you guys can all read. He is the son of Serafina de Jong, or she's the daughter. I can talk today. He's the son of Isaac Von Cleef and Sarah de Jong. She's the daughter of Samuel Loeb and Kate Moses Benjamins. And then we have Jacob's death record, also from the Rotterdam Archive. Again, I provided the extract so you guys don't have to squint. A little story about him being a big businessman in Rotterdam. His gravestone from the Stenen Archive, which I mentioned in my presentation that you guys can all download. And again, his death announcement, which lists Serafina Von Cleef and Alfred Pollock, as well as Serafina's siblings and
30 seconds.
And again, last but not least, we have the family register, which lists, which is similar to a census. We have Jacob Von Cleef listed with Elizabeth Loeb, Serafina Reinette Von Cleef, Sigmund Willem Von Cleef, and Elsa Carolina Von Cleef. And that is the end of that.
Excellent. Under time. Okay, so we do our survey for that round while Steve, David boots up for.
Sorry, we didn't finish that round. I don't think.
We didn't. I'm sorry, we did not finish that round. Who is putting that Galicia? I'm sorry, the survey up there. Ignore that. Ignore that. David, you are up with round 5, so are ready to go?
Okay, do you see my screen?
I see your screen.
Okay, Generation 5. We're going to go to the parents of my great-great-grandfather, Haskell Newson, who lived from 1854 to 1925. And we're going to assert that his parents were Leibisch Lichtenstein, born in 1832, and Reitzer Letterberg, born in 1830. So let's go over the evidence. Here is the gravestone from 1925 of my great-great-grandfather, Haskell Lichtenstein. And the Hebrew says, a descendant of the tzaddik from Kuzmir, Yecheskel Natan, son of the Chassid, Yehuda Leibisch, whom everybody called Leibisch Kodesh. Here's his death certificate listing his father's name as Louis Lichtenstein, obviously an Americanized version of Leibisch. Her mother's name they called Rachel, and they got the surname, her maiden surname, wrong on this death certificate. So you can't trust death certificates. Now we're going to go for records that were in Plotzk, Poland. Haskell Newson was born in 1855, and I can't get the image because it's on microfilm and it's only available at family history centers, which are closed for COVID. Another source from Jewish Gen is a book of residence from the town of Plotzk showing Haskell Newson Lichtenstein living with his parents.
30 seconds.
Giving the names of their parents. So that'll go to the names of 6th-generation ancestors, but it shows Levin and Reitza living together. Her maiden name was Letterberg. They were the parents of Haskell Newson. And that's from the Book of Residence, which exists only in spreadsheet form. Images not available. So I'm done.
Nope, 5 seconds under. Okay. Now we do the survey for the end of round 5, and Steve is going to be booting up for round 6 shortly. Are you ready, Steve?
Yep.
Okay. Round 6.
So seen here is the birth record for, and I've lost count, my ancestor Isaac von Cleef. He was the son of Leincha Levison and Tobias von Cleef, and he was born in 1822. I shared the extract of his record because, again, who wants to read all that real quickly? But as you can see, this is a scan of the record from the Rotterdam archive. And here's his marriage record to, excuse me, Serafina de Jong, who I mentioned previously. She was the daughter of Jacob Simon de Jong and Ruja Husman, and they were married in 1855. And again, lengthy marriage record, similar to German. And, again, provided the extract so you don't have to squint and try to read it. And second to last but not least is his death record. He died in 1890, which kind of annoys me that I don't have a picture of him because photography existed at that point. But he died in 1890. He is the son of Tobias von Cleef and Lynch Levison and the partner of Serafina de Jong. And now, last but not least, is the family register for them in Rotterdam. As you can see, highlighted is his family in Von Cleef. Additionally, not highlighted.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Is his wife Serafina de Jong, because I was only searching for Cleef. And I'm guessing the other people listed are other people who live in the structure. I'd have to reach out to the Rotterdam archive to really find out. And that is it for Steve.
And that is it for the second group of 3 rounds. So now let's have that survey.
I haven't done generation.
No, David still has to go. So you reverse the order. And
I knew what I meant. My apologies, David. So, David, are you ready with your sixth generation? And we are. Start the round.
Okay. So my great-great-great-grandfather, Labish Lichtenstein, was born in 1832, and we're going to get to his parents, who are much older than him. And the evidence is the marriage record from 1851 of Levin and his second wife, Rotza, my great-great-great-grandmother. This record was from the town of Płock, Poland, 1851, handwritten in Polish. This is an image that was on the microfilm, ordered from the LDS Family History Library. Doesn't exist online yet. I had to go the old-fashioned way and crank out the microfilms. The groom was listed at age 19, a widower. And his parents are listed as Newson, deceased, and Fega. And that matches up with what the Book of Residence from the last generation said. The bride is listed as Rotza Lederberg, giving her maiden name. And note, both the bride and groom signed this marriage record. So that's all I have for Generation 6, but I do want to preview a little bit about Generation 7, which will start with a family story about Fega and her ancestry. That'll be coming up next generation. So you can ring the bell on me now.
Okay. So done early. All right, and now we're going to take our interstitial break as the judges and everyone, we do our survey. But I'm going to ask for the Kibbutzers. I always call the Kibbutzers to come in right now and weigh in on what you think these kids are doing.
Randy, knock, knock.
Who's there, Jarrett?
Chaim.
Chaim who?
Chaim loving these records.
Oh.
I had to say it, but no, these records really are awesome, and it's great to see the variation both between different areas.
I liked it too. The Dutch stuff is always awesome, and it's good to see Rotterdam represented, not always Amsterdam. Damn them. And David Ellis is doing a great job, I think, with that relating that population register to that marriage register. And it's not easy with those names in that part of the world. But
all right, I got to ask you guys, what do you miss more, being a contestant or a coach?
Contestant.
We're ready. I'm ready for a rematch. I'm ready for a rematch any day with both hands tied behind my back.
All right, I want to see how the judges. Actually, no. Let's talk to the coaches right now.
Okay, I'll turn off.
Okay, coaches, come on in. How you feeling, guys? How you feeling? You are looking at your boys in play now. So, Robinn, how you feel? You feeling confident? You think you got this wrapped up?
Well, I am here, and I'll tell you why, Jordan. You see, David has served us a right hook here. He came in letting everybody believe that he was going to come in with his Lithuanian research, but having sized up his opponent and the Dutch component as opposed to the Galicianer component, he smartly redirected and is focusing on his Polish side. And I'd like to point out that those documents, including the books of residence, came from JRI Poland's database. I don't think that David has actually mentioned that, but he told me privately that yes, JRI Poland.
Well, no trade secrets here, but yes, that was a clever redirect. Jacob, are you worried about your chances here? Because it looks like your surprise move has been maybe effectively countered. We'll see what the judges think later. But how do you feel your odds are at this point?
I feel good and optimistic about the odds, and especially since I do think it helps that instead of using like a usual Eastern European stuff, he's using a lot of more Dutch things, which I think I at least really admit I didn't know that much, and I hope this proves to be at the very least educational for everyone watching this. If anyone watching this that has their own Dutch ancestry and I don't think I'll find anything, nonsense. You will probably find a lot more than you will realize.
Jacob, it's funny that you said that. I had a mentoring session earlier, and the first question was, what should I watch, Death Match or Mishpacha Melee? And I'm like, there's probably more methodology here, but that's not the point. The point is to have fun. But yeah, there is a lot of interesting methodology going on, and both our contestants and our coaches, I think, have really done a good job. Let's see how the judges are feeling, and we will check in with you folks later. Judges, as we go into the, we have the third set of generations 7 through 10. Oh no, sorry, wait. We're up to 6. Yeah, 7 through 10. Are we doing all 4 generations or a knockout blow? Or that's.
I think both only go to generation 9.
All right, that is very convenient mathematically. So, how are you guys enjoying the show so far? Are you impressed with the scholarship here? Excuse me, Vivian.
Yes, I am, especially with David's ability to translate those handwritten records from Plock. That, I think, was a great find, having a marriage record going back to 1851, listing all of the information that appeared on that record.
We've all been there, but and again, it's kind of interesting to see if the old school microfilmer versus the millennial scanners generation, how this is going to play out, especially in the later generations. Sarina, how do you feel about this? Are you looking forward to a neck and neck round, or is there any? And don't give anything away, but do you see this as neck and neck, or is it decisive in one direction or another so far?
Well, I think it's getting tighter and tighter with each round. I'm having trouble with each round now, especially as we go into the deeper rounds, figuring out who the winner is. And I'm interested in those polls and what the polls think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's got to be really telling, but I'm amazed at some of this documentation. I know on the Sephardi side, there's no way I could come up with a marriage record from the 1850s. So
thank you, Sarina. Alex, does it look neck and neck to you? Or don't give anything away, but how are you feeling about this?
Good. There's pros on each contestant's side. So far, they're tying their generations together. I don't have a concern that there's a break in anyone's line that's going to ruin the rest of their presentation, but we'll have to see what the more complicated records hold.
All right, well, thank you, Alex. And as you have put it, this is the generations 7 through 9 where it can get really ugly. Okay, our contestants ready? I'm going to have David go first.
Jordan, just to give you a review of the polling, the audience has been very involved. We're getting hundreds.
Do we have preliminary numbers?
And it's totally even, 3-3. 3 rounds, David Ellis won. 3 rounds, Steve Jaron won. So the next 3 rounds will really decide this match.
Wow, Galiziana versus Litvak, Baby Boomer versus Millennial. This is going to decide so much, not really. But all right, let's get started with round 7. David, you ready?
Okay, let's move on. Generation 7.
Wait. Got to, and there you go.
Okay, we're going to go for the ancestry of my 6th generation ancestor, Fega, who was born in 1779. We're going to establish her parents as Tzvi Hirsch Taub and Dvorah. Now, I haven't shown you that her maiden name was Taub. There was a letter written in Yiddish by my great aunt Rose stating that Fega Lichtenstein was a sister of the Kuzma Rebbe Yecheskel Taub. I had a tough time finding documentary evidence. The letter talked about my 8th generation ancestor, Zalman Taub, who went to the Baal Shem Tov looking for a match with a bride, and he blessed him, said, your children will be like Chayot HaKodesh, the heavenly hosts, which also can be interpreted as animals. So he named his 4 children Hirsch, Leib, Bear, and Wolf. And we're going to establish that Hirsch was Fega's father. So that's the story. Now let's try to substantiate it. Let's go on. There are family trees for the Kuzma Rebbe, lower left on this ancestry tree, showing his sister Fega. Now, this family tree is not necessarily reliable. Family trees tend to propagate without verification. So I found a document, actually somebody else found it for me, a birth record from 1825 for Fischl Steinlicht.
30 seconds.
Steinlicht is just the opposite of Liechtenstein. The names are swapped. Surnames were fluid back then. It shows his parents were Nussen and Fega. He was a brother of Levin. And the witness was Moshe Taub, a brother of the Kuzma Rebbe, who was witnessing for his sister's son. So that's the conclusive evidence that supports the story, and the marriage record for the Kuzma Rebbe.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there.
Okay, we're done.
All right, Steve, you are up. Round Generation 7.
All right, so here's where it gets a little tricky, obviously. This is the circumcision record for my 7th generation ancestor. I pointed an arrow at his name because it's hard to read. I pulled this from Family Search. Unfortunately, Rotterdam Archives does not have his birth record for some reason. It's possible he was not born in Rotterdam. I don't know. However, I do have his marriage record. He was married in Rotterdam in 1820 to Leentje Levison. He is the son of Isaac von Cleef and Clara Demetz, sometimes Demetz Marzen. And Leentje was the daughter of Solomon Levison and Rachel Machiels. And again, I provided the Rotterdam Archive extract so you don't have to squint your eyes. And then here's his death record, which with his gravestone from the previously mentioned Stenen archive, with the extract of his death record, as well as 2 of the death announcements provided from the newspaper. I think it's delfer.nl is the website that I mentioned in my online presentation that you can download. And then last but not least is the family register. And as you can see, it lists Tobias, Leentje, Isaac, Solomon, Clara, and again, another Leentje, Barbara, Clark, another Leentje, Jacob, Leentje, and Tobias. So it looks like there was a whole 2 or 3 generations living in that household at the same time. I didn't really squint my eyes hard enough to figure out which one was which. And that is the end of that generation for Steve.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so we've got Generation 7 locked down. We need to fill out your surveys, and we will move on to Generation 8. David, Generation 8.
Okay, let me start sharing. Whoa, I'm not sharing yet. Okay, Generation 8 from current slide. Okay, we're dealing with Zvi Hirsch Taub, my 7th generation ancestor, who died in 1794. So he was born maybe around 1750, 1760. 18th century records from that part of Poland simply do not exist online. No such thing. So my evidence is going to be from family trees, online family trees. I had lots of consultations, correspondence with other people who are related to the Kuzma Rebbe. And the Kuzma Rebbe is at the lower left of this tree. His father, Zvi Hirsch, his mother, Dvorah. And the family trees give Zvi Hirsch's father as Shlomo Zalman Taub. He's the one who is in my great Aunt Rose's story as the young man who went to the Baal Shem Tov for a blessing. And on the left is what MyHeritage gives as the profile of Rabbi Zvi Hirsch Taub, known as the Nistar Chassid. They don't even know when he was born, but they give his father Shlomo Zalman Taub and his 3 brothers, the other animals, Aryeh Leib, Dov Ber, and Zev Wolf, brothers to Zvi Hirsch. And they mention the children, Yecheskel Taub and Fega Lichtenstein. So that is from the profile. This is the only online document I could find. So there are no records available from Poland, and I have to deal just with family trees, and this is the evidence I've got. So that's it.
Okay. Let's see what Steve counters with. Steve, are you ready with Generation 8?
I am. All right, so unfortunately, I don't have a birth record for Kayla. She may or may not have been born in Amsterdam, but I do have her marriage record to Isaac von Kleef, who, as I mentioned, is the parent of Tobias von Kleef. And I've lost track. Okay, so as I said, this is the extract of her marriage in Rotterdam. Both the announcement in the Amsterdam archive and the Rotterdam archive are top and bottom. There are two different dates because I believe one is the announcement and one is the actual marriage or something like that. I always get that mixed up. And then I have her death record, which again is from the Rotterdam archive, which is an extract. It shows her parents as Jacob de Metz and sometimes Jacob de Metz Marzen, and then Sephora, but also sometimes Sephora, Marianne, Judah, and other random things, because at that point there's, the names don't matter and spelling doesn't matter. So, and again, this is her death records. So you don't have to squint. I provided the extract, and that is all that I have for Kayla or Clara, depending on which record you're looking at.
All right, so you're calling your Generation 8 here?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so who round 1-8? Dyslexia, killer of the unprepared. All right, so the 9th and final round. Let's see where the preponderance of evidence takes us. David, you...
Okay, I am going to start sharing now.
Okay, you're up.
Okay, we're back in the 18th century, and I'm at a bit of a disadvantage because obviously there are Dutch records that go back further than the Polish records. And again, my only evidence for the 9th generation is the online family trees compiled with lots of other people who have been related to the Kuzma Rebbe, who has a huge family. And what goes on in there, we have Tzvi Hirsch Taub at the bottom left. He was the father of the Kuzma Rebbe, the Nistar. His father, Shlomo Zalman, who was the earliest in the letter from my great aunt. And Shlomo was listed with the patronymic, giving his father's name as Itzik Taub. That's as far back as I can get. And unfortunately, we don't have documentary records other than the family trees that were compiled by people who have the traditions of the Kuzma Rebbe. So that's all I've got.
Okay, then we will, last but not least, Steve, round 9. Are you ready?
I am. So unfortunately, I could only find one record for this 9th generation ancestor, which is his marriage record to Sephora, otherwise known as Marianne Judah. They were married in 1738, and as you can see, I provided the extract. And there's not much else I can do with this one. You can see his cool signature. When I first saw that, I was like, nice. It's a very pretty signature. I even shared it on Facebook because I'm that kind of nerd. But the marriage record does list his father as her father as Judah Eliezer, and his father as David de Metz. So in a way, I can go back to Generation 10, depending on how you feel about what marriage records have to say, and if you feel that I've followed through with the genealogical proof standard or whatever it's called. So this is where I must leave off.
Okay, so are you calling it right there?
I am.
Okay. So this is what's going to happen. The judges are going to decide whether we've got a preponderance of evidence, if family trees count, what our audience weighs in on. So while they're deliberating and our contestants are sweating, let's go to our Kibbutzers. Excuse me.
Kibbutzers is fine.
Wow,
that was a close match. It was, according to the polling, tied. Audience polling tied 4-4 going into that last round, and not too shabby. Not too shabby. We'll see what the last round, when we close the polls, what it looks like. But what do you think, Jarrett?
I mean, I might be biased, but I feel like Steve has it, especially with the last 2 rounds, Steve having documentation for each. And technically, I think Steve would be able to go to Generation 10, especially considering that David was just kind of using family trees and family stories to corroborate what he had. Stephen had a record with the name of that 10th generation. So I think technically he could go another generation and get that.
As a former contestant, I'd also give him I'd give him 10 generations on that. So congratulations, Steve.
Yeah, gentlemen, this is actually rather exciting because last year we had a TKO, and this year both contestants have gone the distance.
Yeah.
So do we have the results of the polling yet?
Well, let's talk to the judges first, maybe. Don't you want to do the judges before the final?
Judges that will be making the final decision. So I want to see how.
Okay, so the polling, the last round, I told you was 4-4 going into the last round. In the last round, Steve dominated in that round, 90% to 10%. So according to the audience, it's a 5-4 decision, but it's, that's close. So let's see what the judges say.
Okay, judges, are you ready with your decisions? If not, we can talk to our coaches and see how they feel at this point. So feel free to just, are you close to a decision?
Well, we haven't talked to each other.
Well, I think you should be doing that now.
Okay.
How do we?
I'm going to talk to the coaches then while you guys deliberate, because we've got a nail biter here, I think.
Do we communicate by
I think we do it through the chat. To the private.
Everyone, if you can do it privately through the chat. If not, it's going to come down to your votes. So let's speak to the coaches. Coaches. Now this is interesting. We've got a couple of very interesting. Sarina, go
away. I'm going away.
Very, very interesting strategies using the crowdsource of a published family tree versus the old rabbinical lines there. This is quite interesting. I don't think anyone saw it going in that direction. Was this a pre-planned strategy? Jacob, you tell me first.
Well, speaking for actually thinking a bit about one of my own lineages, which it goes back theory all the way to Rashi, but the only real evidence I have from it is a family tree book someone published literally before I was born. So, because they can be a very powerful thing to say, I can trace it back remarkably far to this rabbinic lineage, as you can see here. That's a very powerful thing. And I can't say the trees that are online are wrong necessarily. With that all said, the part that bothers me is without seeing the actual evidence behind it, without seeing, say, more of those letters, without seeing those rabbinic books that specify the lineages, I think it can only be considered so reliable. I can't necessarily say it's wrong, but I also can't necessarily say it's right either.
So the old adage of a lie oft repeated becomes the truth, or does it? Robinn, so what say you? We've got rabbinic genealogy versus the crowdsource. It sounds like we're all leaving this up to the judge's discretion, basically, throwing ourselves on the mercy of the court.
Well, I think that's true. I actually was focused on another aspect, which is actually it was mostly out of round 7. I was thinking, what's really important here to think of is actually the swings. I've mentioned a right hook before. I think that there were some zingers in there that were memorable. I chuckled, actually. I have to give it to Steve that I chuckled when he said, here's where it gets tricky. And then he mentioned the word circumcision next. And I thought that was pretty funny. But I really believe that no matter which way it goes, that the one-liner zinger of the evening that I really appreciated, I think David gets the win on from me. And that's that he said, family trees tend to propagate. And I thought that was actually hilarious and the funniest remark, the most memorable remark of the evening.
Maybe that will sway the judges. All right, let's get back to the judges and see how they've weighed in. And do we have a winner or not? And judges, actually, can we get everyone on here? Judges, coaches,
I don't think we cannot have more than 9 people on the screen.
All right, so let's get the judges and our contestants because we want to see their faces when you drop in on them. We're missing it. We're missing a judge.
We're missing Vivian.
Vivian, you there? Do we have audio for Vivian? So,
Alex, why don't you go first?
I'm going first. Okay. So how are we doing this? Am I giving?
Well, we're gonna tally this up. Alex, you go first. Was it Steve and why, or David and why?
So ultimately, one of my considerations was they're from different generations. So you have to somewhat give to David that he's at a disadvantage. Him going back 9 generations is almost like Steve going back 10 potentially. But on the other hand, Steve at the end had that extra generation, so that really puts them on the same footing. And at the end, they both connected their early generations through solid sources. David sometimes had record indexes where there could have been actual records, like I saw a New York City marriage record that is available online. But ultimately it came down to Steve is just lucky enough to have ancestry from the Netherlands, where they created documents and preserved them differently than was done in Poland. And maybe in a future rematch, David will be able to get those missing records that document the end of line a little bit better. So ultimately, because of those considerations, I think I have to give it to Steve.
Okay, so Alex goes with Steve. Sarina.
Yeah, I'm voting. I have came to the same conclusions. I mean, Steve started out at a younger generation. I mean, he's young enough to be, I want to say, more than my son. And David is more in my age category, so already he's lost a generation. But the dependence in those last 2 generations by David of the family trees was weak. I did love the addition of photos that you had, David. I thought that was terrific, and I was very impressed by the translation of those documents in other languages. But at the end of the day, I think Steve's reliance on actual records and was really just placed him in a stronger position. So
you're going with who are you going with?
I'm going with Steve.
Okay, so it looks like it may be a split decision or unanimous, depending upon how Vivian goes. Vivian, what do you think?
So Vivian. She's in the chat. And I don't know if she knows that she's in the chat, but she said in the chat, she says Steve has a definite advantage because he has superior sources available. David did manage to acquire and translate original records, which is impressive. I wonder whether he might have been able to find more contemporaneous sources on the Kuzma Rebbe. But she's not giving a vote. This was in her chat.
Wow. Okay. So
let's hope Vivian can figure out where her camera is. Maybe she can try it back on.
Well, she wouldn't be the only one who's having technical problems.
Unless are we only allowed to have 4 people on? Maybe someone
We've
has
got 2 for Steve at this point, so 2 out of 3 judges.
So it looks like Steve. Well, all right. Well, let's talk to Steve and let's talk to David. Would you guys do you guys look forward to coming back as coaches next year?
Sure. Depending on when and where the conference is.
Or do you want to go straight to Kibbutzers? Because, oh my God, those lines were so lame.
I could coach, assuming, depending on where the conference is. I don't make a lot of money, so depending on if the rumors are true, next year might not happen.
Well, next year, who knows? Could be hybrid. Who knows? But look, well played, both of you. I think it was an honor watching you guys just duke it out. And David, finding yourself in the 1950 census, that was like, oh my God, we're there now. All right.
I've been waiting for 10 years.
Kibbutzers, let's get the Kibbutzers on.
I'm not in the census. I wasn't born that early.
I don't know what happened to Vivian. I feel bad that she hasn't been able to log back on, but.
Well, I totally get it, because I think, if they do virtual next year, which I hope they don't, because I'd love to see you guys in the flesh. It's been entirely too long. But Big Macher, I guess they thought it was. They just leave a lot to be desired.
Too dark in here. I thought, again, it was a great match and a good contest, and I hope some people in the audience will send us a note and volunteer to be contestants next year, because we're going to need new contestants. Otherwise, Jarrett and I will have to duke it out.
Oh no! Do we go Sephardic next year? Just like or
we were hoping David would go Litvak, but he didn't. He went into Poland instead. So
there's so many rivalries. I mean, maybe Vivian Kahn coming back. Bohunks versus versus JRI Poland.
If I can comment on the Litvak branch, that's the subject of an on-demand presentation that I prepared for this conference, and it's available to anybody. And the evidence for Litvaks is mostly revision lists, and this was much more varied evidence, and I thought it would be a more interesting presentation.
I don't know. Maybe we should get Harold Rode on, showing how you can get 2 more generations back just by Litvak naming patterns.
Good. Already done that. That's how I got 9 generations back in my Litvak branch.
There you go.
I'm willing to be Hessen next year. I have a 13 generation line.
Where? Hessen?
In Baden.
In Baden. I could go Baden. We could do Baden versus Frankfurt.
Yeah, I was like thinking, how about those Mets?
And Mets also, like maybe Steve and I can join, because I've got Mets family. And once you're in Metz, you're everywhere. Like all of France is related to people from Metz. So
here's an interesting question. Do you have to start with yourself as generation 1?
Yes. Yes. Otherwise, it's not a match.
If I started with my grandchildren, I'd get 3 more generations.
Yeah. No, that doesn't.
I don't know. That's sort of pulling a ringer. But again, I don't make the rules here.
Yeah, we could do just maternal line or just paternal line also, and make it interesting that way. But anyway, we did a great job, Jordan. Hopefully, we'll get to see you next time. Do you want to try to do your video one more time?
I'm going to do my next
Frozen Jordan.
Doing this all DNA.
There's Sarina. We can all try.
Bye.
We can all go on video and try to break the thing now. Hey, Jordan, it's working a little bit now.
Woo-hoo! I even wore my jiu-jitsu shirt.
Let's see, is Vivian there? Or Vivian Jacobs there? Robin? Not sure where we're at.
Alex is having issues.
Yeah. I did not have this issue for most of the time, but it's back.
Watch us screw up on Thursday with Mishpacha Melee.
Yes. Okay, well, who won? Someone asked. And Jordan, do you want to announce the winner one more time?
Yeah, the winner was Steve. 2 votes to Vivian's abstention, or de facto abstention. So I'm going to call it a split decision.
Okay, sounds good. Steve was also the audience winner at a 5-4. So congratulations, everybody, and thanks for joining us in this. Jordan, you look so worried?
I'm going to ask to tap out.
He's tapped out.
How do we stop?
Okay, bye everyone. Yeah, whoever is in charge should turn it off. Maybe Ellie can turn us off. Thanks so much. Adios.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye. We made it. Yay.
Yay. Where's next year's conference?